this is Shira, and we are looking ahead to April 2021 Astrological Outlook. So, to start off, we have the Sun with Venus in Aries. And generally, the first day sets the tone of the month. And the first day we have early moon in Sagittarius, approaching a trine to both the Sun and Venus. So that's very positive. However, most of the month we will have Mars in Gemini, which is great for communications, and the North Node making a blessed trine to Saturn and then later Jupiter in Aquarius. So what does this all mean? We could say that because of the trine between Mars and Saturn, Jupiter in Aquarius in April, that's about productivity. And in turn, you have the Sun and Venus in Aries. And that equally is making a sextile to Saturn in Aquarius and then later to Jupiter in Aquarius. We will feel very productive this month, like we are getting a lot done. It's positivity at its best, putting our best foot forward. And with Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius making a supportive sextile to the Sun and Venus, and a sextile between the Sun and Venus to the North Node and Mars in Gemini, this is very, very progressive. We will feel we make great strides in our life in all areas this month, whether it be love and romance, especially work. And it's about feeling good and putting our best foot forward. Mars in Gemini with the North Node is a communicator. So with the productive trine with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, we will be communicating a lot of new ideas. It's kind of inventive. So we will hear about possibly new inventions or new ideas, and that includes our lives personally, that we will want to bounce around new ideas with each other. It's a very creative month, especially with these wonderful aspects with the trine and the supportive sextiles. We will want to express ourselves in the best way possible. An accent on very likely the arts, whether it be performing arts or our personal creativity, and that could be anything from the web to artistic endeavors, both performing and art itself. It's about creative expression this month, feeling good, a lot of great energy going into these beautiful trines and sextiles. So April will be probably very paramount and memorable as a month where we feel like we are no longer held back and held down, and that can also include some of the health matters as of late that we have had to deal with. Now, for the first few days of March, Neptune will make a conjunction to Mercury. And of course, Mercury rules communication. So before Mercury leaves Pisces and moves into sign of Aries, we will want to close the book on something, get closure. This will be extremely important, and we will feel like there may have been a very tender, sensitive issue that we may be dealing with, and we may feel like we have to input great sensitivity and insight to that situation. But the great news is, once we have such insight or discussion about this sensitive issue or issues, we feel like we will be able to close the book. Now, looking at Uranus, Uranus is still in Taurus and will be for quite some time. However, it's interesting to note that Uranus is somewhat alone this month. The aspect that it makes this month is a square to Saturn. So it's not really making a lot of aspects. And so that means especially its only major aspect this month as Saturn in Aquarius, that is on one hand rebellious, because of course Saturn's depositor is Aquarius. So there's still going to be a need to speak our minds with each other and to express our creativity, because we're dealing with Aquarius, our ideals, our beliefs, our philosophy. And on another level, our genius, our uniqueness. So, because there will still be opposing views regarding our ideals, our outlook, our beliefs, that still will be a contention for tension this month. So we must look out for not getting involved with needless conflicts regarding who is right, who is wrong, and what we believe personally is right or wrong, whether that's religion, spirituality, our ideals, our ideas as well. We must keep our opinions at bay to some degree if we don't want to create necessary conflicts regarding our philosophies. So, other than that, April will be a very happy, progressive month for us. And of course, we still have Pluto in Capricorn. And again, Capricorn rules with Pluto structure, karma, the government, authorities. So this is making a supportive sextile all month with Neptune, but for the first several days of March, there is going to be a beautiful supportive sextile. So the first 3, 4, 5-ish days of March, we may feel free to speak our mind without feeling that there is going to be some kind of recourse about our opinions. And there may be, because we're talking authorities and structure, Neptune and Mercury are ruling sensitivities. There may be some good news early on in April about some kind of reform or rules, laws that are favoring civil rights, freedoms, and so on. Maybe some cause for celebration. So that's a very good connection in April. We still have the South Node here in Sagittarius. And that, however, of course, is trying to the Aries connection here of Venus and the Sun. So this only reinforces this positive sense of good energy, good vibrations. There may be a lot we find out or that we want to broadcast regarding the law of attraction and moving forward in a positive direction in light. This is a very enlightening month in April with so many supportive aspects. We won't have to be too concerned about a lot of negativity, except with this Uranus and Saturn square. We will have to tone down our opinions to some degree. Now, let's take a look at the first, the new moon of April, and that is going to be on April 11th, 2021. So with the new moon, of course, the sun is at 22 degrees Aries, and still Venus is in Aries, approaching Taurus. So as we pass the new moon on April 11th, so I would say around maybe the 14th, we're talking Venus will approach a conjunction with Mars, excuse me, not with Mars, with Uranus. And anytime you have any of the planets make a connection with Uranus, you can always expect what? The unexpected. So from roughly mid-month and just after the new moon, there can be some interesting developments with Venus, Uranus in Taurus, with our Earth, cleanup or the like. Also, Venus rules Taurus. And with Uranus, we may feel that love and relationships now are either one of two ways. Really good because of Venus entering Taurus, or because of that square to Saturn, we may feel love and relationships, or relationships of all types, need work. And there may be some communication issues. And again, this issue with communicating our beliefs and our philosophies. So relationships will become the forefront from about mid-April on. However, because it is new moon, we are apt to feel very good about our love and relationship, and should expect a lot of surprises this month with the area of love and relationship, especially since Venus and Uranus are in Taurus. That's very solid. There be many of you looking to make a solid commitment this month, or to solidify or have very strong discussions about the nature of relationships. But yet again, on a broader scale, Uranus and Venus at mid-month will help us focus on environmental concerns on a broader scale. And of course, again, this is very positive and reinforcing a lot of that positive energy this month. So the new moon is very progressive. We've got the new moon, of course, in Aries, and it will make a wide conjunction to Mercury in Aries. Now, this Mercury and the moon are sextile to both Jupiter and Saturn, kind of reinforcing, as I said earlier, a lot of this good feeling that we will feel very positive towards each other. This is also very supportive. We want to reach out to each other. We're going to feel like getting out and making some life changes this month. And as I mentioned earlier, it is extremely creative and idealistic. We will feel like we can express ourselves in all ways without feeling put upon. And also because we're talking air, Aquarius, Saturn, and Jupiter, especially with Saturn and Jupiter making beautiful trines to both Mars and the North Node, social media will be very paramount this month, and our communications. That can also mean there may be some new source of communication that is very helpful to us this month. And that can be anything from technology to Wi-Fi to computers, but it is extremely supportive. And this is a great time for all of you out there around the new moon in April to start a new business or start some kind of new venture, and that can also include relationships as well, because we will have this whole feeling even throughout most of April to begin ventures, to start, and we will have the positive energy to help us getting these new ventures in force, which is wonderful. Now, let's take a look at the full moon later on in the month. Okay, that full moon is on April 26, 2021. So we've got some intense aspects for that full moon. It is the full moon in Scorpio. Now, this is a different tone for the full moon than the new moon and for most of April. We have the full moon and the sun in Taurus at 7 degrees, and we have the opposition additionally between the moon in Scorpio and Uranus. Now we also add to that, and Mercury is now in Taurus and Venus is in Taurus as well. So we are going from the Aries energy with the sun, Mercury, earlier in the month with Venus, to now we are switching to a much more serious chart. And now we have a T-square. And this is between the sun, Sun and Uranus in Taurus, to the moon in Scorpio with Saturn at 12 degrees Aquarius. So with Saturn in Aquarius, and with the square to Uranus, we will have to be, as aforementioned, rather cautious during most of April about expressing our opinions, because there's going to be needless arguments, to say the least, because of such expression. Although, again, April overall is a pretty good month, a real feel-good month. However, on this full moon, when you add this T-square with Uranus and the sun, a wide square with the full moon in Scorpio with Saturn at 12 degrees, that's going to create additional tension. And as you can see right here is the T-square. So anytime we are involved with Uranus, and in this case Uranus and Taurus, we can expect the unexpected. With this fixed sign T-square, around the end of the month on the 26th, at the time of the full moon, it's one thing that we will have opinions, but when you add the stubborn, very fixed nature of Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, you can guarantee our opinions may cause some kind of upheaval. And this could get out of hand. So we will have to be very careful about our opinions, our beliefs, our philosophies around the 26th and the full moon of Scorpio. And Scorpio tends to extremes. So even though it is squaring off Aquarius, Saturn, and Uranus, it is still an emotional full moon. And so we could say that around the time of the full moon at the 26th, we will have to be careful of getting overly emotional. And of course, the depositor of the moon is Mars now in Cancer. So there may be some concerns about our home, our security, that we must not get out of hand. There may be certain issues that are discussed that kind of sets us off and is rather sensitive, almost too sensitive, where we may take things a little bit too personally, and it's a he said, she said, and this is my point of view, it's not changing. And we will come from a place of somewhat certain insecurities that we will have to keep in check. And again, Mars rules home, family, issues with home and family, security, and so on. And this, yes, this could also affect us nationally, internationally. These are issues around the time of the full moon, focusing on the family, our security, and so on and so forth, that we will have to keep in check. So, also, the depositor of the moon is also Pluto. And as mentioned prior, Pluto rules what? It rules structure, rules governments, rules karma, authorities. So there could also be issues with government and authorities, possible clashes. And why? Because of voicing opinions. And so all of April, although it is rather enlightening and positive, at the close of the month, we may feel so confident from the most of April to express our opinions, to feel progressive, to feel like we are making strides and great changes, to the point where, here comes the full moon, and that's going to kind of put a damper on things. And we may feel resentful, whether it's within society, whether it's within our relationships. So we could say that around the time of the full moon, it's like a 180 for the feel-good vibe of April. So just be sure around the time of the full moon, we don't get carried away with our opinions and try to enforce our views on other people, because there could be consequences. And this will make us feel very insecure, which in turn could create a great deal of this unnecessary conflict. So, this is going to be a great month overall in April. Great change for the better, a lot of wonderful changes with creativity and positivity, voicing our thoughts and opinions, and feeling good about the changes that are happening now. However, we will have to be careful not to get too carried away with our opinions towards the end of the month, and to try not to get emotional as well around the time of the full moon. However, if we can continue on into May with a positive outlook and initiate change, well then, April, if we keep it positive, will be a very progressive time indeed. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my contact information is down below. I give one-on-one readings and written reports. Please subscribe to this channel and press the bell notification. Until next time, many, many blessings.